Hi, it's Chris from Stamp Blessings, and I'm here today to show you how to watercolor these tulips. So I created this card kit with the red tulips first, and then when I came to my Zoom class, I tried it in yellow. And today, we're going to try it in one more color. I used Close to My Heart's watercolor paints. You can probably use any watercolor paints that you have at home. So these are not too expensive and I like them a lot. I thought they were the same as the Michaels brand. You might see a container that's similar, but my friend Juliet told me that those pigments were not as vivid as these. So it looks like the container is the same, but not necessarily the same paint quality. So I'm going to put that aside while I get ready for my card. I'm using the French vanilla cardstock, and this is from Close to My Heart. It's not watercolor paper, but if you don't use like a heavy hand and don't oversaturate your paper, you'll have no trouble at all. And I'll be using my Intense Black. So the tulip that I'm using today is from the Close to My Heart stamp set called A Million Little Things, and it has 3 really nice flowers and 3 great sentiments, and also these little speckles that are really nice to use on a card. But I'm going to be using the tulip today. So I'll be using my Intense Black. It's currently out of stock, unfortunately, but it is expected back in sometime soon. So when you random stamp, a lot of times I like to start in the middle of a card. But in this case, I want my tulips to line up. So I'm going to stamp one up here. Come back and bring it down just a little bit. And one thing I didn't do just now is I should be checking the edges of my block to make sure that I don't have any random little black lines that are going to show up. Okay, and so then I would continue to just stagger that. Lucky for you, I already have one prepared. So I can close up my ink and put it off to the side. So I'm not sure what color tulips we should go with today. We could do perhaps a purple. I think a purple would be nice. Since I already have red and I have yellow, and the orange would be good too. I like to have a little scrap of paper so that I can kind of figure out my color. Now, when I am adding water to this, I have my aqua brush. I really want to get a lot of water in there. And I know I said don't oversaturate the paper, but you can avoid that by making sure that you start out with a nice good puddle. So that is pretty wet. And I can just pick up my color. I think I'm going to just double check it. Yeah, and that's a nice purple. So I'll leave my thing here to the side. And another nice thing about this tulip is it's kind of sketchy. So I don't have to really worry about staying inside the line. And wherever I start first is where the darkest is going to be. And then I can pull it out. I also don't have to worry about going over or all the way up to the line. I'm going to see, yeah, I have enough without having to re-ink my brush. But now I will go over. And again, you see I'm getting a lot of nice color. The water is pulling it around the image, but it's not soaking in. Now these will lighten up as they dry. So I can always come back and do a little extra, or maybe I want to go back and do a little bit of a darker shade. Let me show you here on my yellow card. My yellow tulips, I actually came back in and touched them with just a little bit of an orange, and you can see that. So I'm really liking this purple. It's funny, when I had my Zoom class, I asked people what color tulips they would make, and several said purple. But you can see this is a fast card. You could do multiples of this, and because I'm not really having to really fussy watercolor, like if you watched my rose tutorial, that's where I had to use watercolor paper because I was using Tombow markers and then pulling out the Tombow marker. But here I'm using just watercolor paints, and so it's super quick. And each tulip will be a little bit different, just like in nature, which is kind of nice. All right, so I have my purple tulips done, and I can tell that I think I'm going to add a little bit more later there, but while that is drying, I'm going to come in and get some green, and I really like this light bright green. And again, these leaves are kind of open on the bottom, so I'm just coming in with my water brush and giving it a light touch. And here I came in with some fresh green, and I might just give that. I think I want more water in there. Again, I'm just really going quickly, not worrying too much. And giving it a little. There, I missed the leaf completely with my bifocals, but that's okay because it's all good. Each one of these will be different because as much as you try stamping those tulips in the same place, I've done this card now I don't know how many times, each time it comes out just a little different. And again, I'm squeezing in a little bit more water into my green paint to make sure that it drags nicely across the paper. And just touching it up. And one more. So there we go. That is super easy, and you could go back if you wanted there. I really missed some. Like I said, you don't have to go to the edge, but this gives it a little when I come back in a second time. So I really like how that turned out. Those tulips are really pretty. I do want to come in. I'm going to see if this darker purple, how that, whoops, whoa, sorry about that. Didn't mean to make you dizzy there. Yeah, that's a little bit darker, but let's see how that, oh, that looks nice. And I can just add it without even touching up my brush too much. So there we go. I've got my camera set way low today so that you can really see some of the details. That was one of the things that when I had my camera up too high, I found people couldn't really see that. So I'm going to set this tulip panel aside for a minute because now I want to stamp my sentiment. And I've pre-cut my card stock, and I never really told you that the size of this. This is just 4 by 5 1/4. It's your basic card size, one down, right? So you have 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then this French vanilla layer is 4 by 5 1/4. And so this cardstock here, I'm glad I have this little ruler, is it's 1 and just past 1 1/4, and then it's 1, 2, 3 by 3 1/2. I'm using the Thank You from an old retired set called Love Blossoms, and I really like the size of this Thank You. You could even use Thankful or Loved, but for this one we're going to use the Thank You. I have a lot of thank you notes to write right now, so this is perfect. I love those magnetic lids. They're just great because you don't lose them. I'm going to come down and just do a nice press. And now I want to show you how I got this to match my paper. So instead of having to mat my thank yous with either red or yellow cardstock, I'm going to show you really quick how I got that technique. And I did kind of stamp off a little bit, not very even. I think I'm going to flip that over and do it one more time because I really do want a nice border on that. So if you make a mistake, flip it over. If you make 2 mistakes, throw it out. It's just paper, right? So, all right, so I'm coming in a little bit funny here. And down. And here I didn't clean my black, so I've got lots of black ink just waiting to ruin that, but it didn't, and so perfect. That's exactly where I want it. So I want my thank you to match these tulips. So what I'll do is, again, this is a fine tip water brush that I did get from Close to My Heart. I'm going to come back in and wet my brush with the original color. And I'm going to take it and just, with a fine line, go along the edge. And I'm not that steady of a hand, honestly. My hands kind of shake a little bit. But this is not too bad to just, if you just keep running it, turn it, run it and drag it. You can see how you obviously want paper underneath. But even if you get a little bit farther out than you want, it shouldn't be bad. It's a little bit lighter than I want, so I go back, I drag it out. And this is going to make it totally coordinated, which I like that look. It's something I kind of came up with. I'm sure lots of people do that though. And I already have my mat pre-cut, so I can line it up. And so now we have our purple version. And you know what? Maybe this would have even looked better in green today, I'm thinking. I wonder how that would look. Do you want to see? Let's do it because I have one more piece cut. So let's try it. I'm kind of interested to see how that looks. Sometimes you don't know how colors look together until you just stamp them out. So again, I got my cardstock ready. And this time we'll use this lighter green. So I'm going to just pull out my... That's one thing I didn't really talk to you about. When I watercolor, make sure that you just use a light brush stroke. You should not be seeing those brushes like really push down and, you know, fray out. Your water brush will last a lot longer. And I think you just get a nicer effect. So I'm going to pull out with this green. And I don't know if I'm going to like it better. I might go back to the purple, but I just wanted to see what that looked like. And kind of got a little bit thicker there. It just shows you that that can happen to you, but don't worry about it. I see that my black tea there for the thank you didn't come out 100% black, so I might just take a Sharpie or a fine line black marker and fix that up. Most of the times we see our mistakes more than anybody who gets this in the mail would see. I just kind of even that out. Perfect, I think. So I have another black base cut. And just stacking this up just for us to see how we like it. Remember, if you need any of the supplies, you can find them at www.chrisfranco.closetomyheart. And here it is with the green. And you know what? I think I personally like the green better, but I don't know. What do you think? Which one would you choose? And there you go. Well, thanks for watching me. I'm going to go tape this card together and post them to my blog. I hope you'll come back and visit my channel again. Make sure you like it, and maybe you'll follow me, and I hope you'll share it with your friends. Thanks.